have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft.
Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion. Over.
Move very rapidly at any speed or rather any direction it wanted to go. Fly could change and go to the right or the left or go crossways without hesitating a bit.
What do you think it was?
Well, if they call it a flying saucer, that's what it is.
EWA 517, do you want to report a UFO? Over.
Negative. We don't want to report.
Look, it wasn't my worst Wednesday night.
Good evening, everybody. This is Smiles Lewis, and you are tuned in to the live weekly news roundup of the 501c3 Scientific Anomaly Institute, aka the Anomaly Archives. This is Anomaly Now for Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. And let's dive right in. There are a ton of news links that I'm going to just briefly touch on, but of course, you can find all you'll need to know about us over at our website, anomalyarchives.org. Over at utsouthwestern.edu, device keeps brain alive, functioning separate from body. November 2nd headline at this website, UTSW developed machine can be used to study the brain isolated from bodily influences, could improve heart-lung bypass technology. Wow. Okay. I'm sure there's all kinds of ethical questions that have been considered. Headline, Dallas. Researchers led by a team at UT Southwestern Medical Center have developed a device that can isolate blood flow to the brain, keeping the organ alive and functioning independent from the rest of the body for several hours. The device, tested using a pig brain model and described in scientific reports, could lead to new ways to study the human brain without influence from other bodily functions. It could also inform the design of machines for cardiopulmonary bypass that better replicate natural blood flow to the brain. The findings build on previous research by study leader Juan Pascual, MD, PhD, and his colleagues. This quote, this novel method enables research that focuses on the brain independent of the body, allowing us to answer physiological questions in a way that has never been done. You can read more about this over at utsouthwestern.edu. And yep. That's brains in jars, ladies and gentlemen, brains in jars, keeping them alive outside the body. We're going to switch gears here. Correspondent Pete over in Bemidji, Minnesota, gave me the shout out about this headline from his local area. Authorities, Meteor likely not cause of flash and boom over Beltrami County. This from November 14th. Writer Ryan Yanka, I think it's Yanka, writes, Bemidji, Minnesota, KFGO, a bright flash in the sky over Beltrami County and the sonic boom that followed it were initially reported to be caused by a meteor, but after further investigation, authorities there now say that was likely not the case. Let's see if we can get this to play here. Get ready for a loud explosion, folks. There's a flash. Quote, Mueller said after reviewing video and using mathematics, it was calculated that the source of flash and boom were less than a mile apart. They don't know if the source was stationary or mobile. Quote, this has certainly been an interesting puzzle to try and solve, and we still don't know exactly what it was, Mueller said. We appreciate the assistance we've received from federal agencies and the science community in ruling out what it wasn't, and we'll continue to provide any subsequent information that is learned. For now, whatever flashed across the sky and created the boom remains a mystery. So yeah, for our listeners, video just is a black and white security camera with obviously some audio. They mentioned a streak in the sky. I guess that's been seen in other footage or other eyewitness testimony, but I think in this case it's just a bright flash and then that loud boom. This is from kfgo.com, and of course the link will be in the show notes for tonight's show. Oh, here we go. Is it time yet? It is time. Here we go. All right. From jalopnik.com. These laser light shows on Chinese highways are meant to keep drivers awake. The lasers are mounted on sign gantries above Qingdao Yingchuan Expressway in China, allegedly. This is, again, from jalopnik.com. And there is this video of a laser light show above a highway in China. That's right. Chinese road officials are utilizing a unique method of combating nighttime driver fatigue. Lasers! Drivers have recorded the surreal light show projected above a lengthy highway segment across northern China. The beams of bright colors are meant to keep drivers awake, but it could be a distraction on its own with the right soundtrack. Yeah, anyway, so there is a video there, more of these lasers. I'm telling you, man, if you're on the right drugs, this is a rave while you're driving down the road. From the Science Girl Twitter account, I believe, a video captured on the Qingdao Yongchang Expressway displays vibrant laser lights hovering above the vehicles. Mr. Lee, the person behind the camera, reported that these laser lights designed to combat fatigue quickly revitalized him and reduced his exhaustion during a prolonged drive. The article goes on to mention, famously, a 90-mile straight stretch of highway in Australia features trivia on roadside signs to keep people mentally engaged. Yeah. Okay, enough of that silliness. Now for some more silliness. I swear, on Facebook groups all the time, UFO Facebook groups, I am regularly seeing people posting pictures like these that you can see over at CBS4Indy.com. That's CBS, the number 4Indy.com. Headline, Fireball, quote unquote, spotted flying through sky in central Kentucky. This is from November 4th. And the pictures, I see this and I'm just like, oh no, not another one. Really? The news is reporting on this now? Yeah, what you see in the photos that are provided by the person who instigated this news report, yes, okay, looks like a fireball going through the sky, only they just said it was not moving fast. And they even considered that it could be a contrail, but it was glowing so luminously that it couldn't possibly be a contrail. It's a contrail, folks. Winchester, Kentucky, Fox 56. If you were outside in central Kentucky on Friday morning, chances are you may have noticed something strange in the sky. Christy Arnold was in Winchester, Kentucky at 7:30 a.m. when she noticed something unusual flying through the sky. Quote, I pulled up to the stoplight. Of all things, I just happened to look up and see that, Arnold said. Looking at it, it just seemed so far out in the sky, and compared to the airplanes, it wasn't an airplane. In comparison to the airplanes flying around, it wasn't moving. Arnold said it was suspended in the sky for a couple of minutes. I've thought of everything under the sun, and nobody has a clue as to what it could be, but I took a magnificent photo of it. Yeah, so they mentioned other people noticing it. They, again, reproduced the photo there. Somebody says, I thought it seemed unusual, so I just zoomed in and snapped the shot. Riddle said, from a distance, it looked like it was sitting still, but when I zoomed in for this picture, you could see it gradually moving, but it did seem very slow. I thought it looked like the trails that jets leave, but it was very orange in color, seemed a bit wider than the jet trails, and was similar to a comet, he elaborated. Yeah, so as an expert says, if it flashed across the sky in a second or a few seconds at most, it was likely a fireball. That is, a very bright meteor caused by an object, small asteroid from interplanetary space, entering the atmosphere and being heated to incandescence by friction with the air, Trollin said. Note that meteors are sometimes called shooting stars. Another possibility is that the object was a fragment of a satellite in low Earth orbit that plunged through the atmosphere. Yeah, okay, so just go to amsmeteors.org. That's the American Meteor Society, amsmeteors.org. And there's a page, Fireball or Contrail. This is becoming so common. I don't know when they published this first, but first 6 pictures, a gallery of contrails at sunset or sunlight. And, I remember myself a few years ago, pre-pandemic, I was sitting in a drive-through parking lot, a drive-through in a line in a parking lot, and I was looking westward, and I saw 5 objects in a kind of a weird formation that just looked like strange little streaks of white light, and some of them started getting orange, and they were on the horizon, on the western horizon. And eventually I realized, oh, those are contrails, and they were slowly moving, but they're so far away they didn't seem to be moving at all. And it was just the reflection from the sunset on them, causing them to flare and look kind of strange. And that was really the first time I think I ever started thinking about that formation. Here then below that are another 6 photos of actual fireballs. Very, very different. Not anything really like these misidentified contrails. And I realize a lot of people just never look up or just don't pay attention. And so when they see something, it seems anomalous, but it's not. So fireball versus contrail checklist. Number 1, for how long did you see the phenomena? If you had enough time to grab your phone to take a picture, it certainly is not a fireball. Fireballs usually only last a few seconds longer. Fireballs are extremely rare. 2, were there clouds above what you saw? If yes, it is certainly not a fireball. Meteoroids glow usually as soon as they hit Earth's atmosphere, and they entirely burn up between 60 miles and 40 miles. The highest clouds can be found at 8 miles above the Earth's surface. Number 3, did you feel a sudden urge to say, wow? If no, either it wasn't your first fireball, either it wasn't a fireball. Fireballs are very impressive and beautiful. They look like a huge, sometimes gigantic shooting star. And then there's a little bit about contrails to help people who don't understand or know about them. And of course, I constantly hear people, friends and family, identifying those things as chemtrails. One of the most interesting things at the end, are contrails dangerous? It ends by saying they are one of the causes of global warming. So, and are constantly talked about as one variation of the chemtrail conspiracy theory is that they are being used to climate force through creating more impenetrable clouds cover. Anyway, moving right along. Another subject I love. Oh, yes. That would be subject of lucid dreams. Scientists are researching a device that can induce lucid dreams on demand. The startup behind Halo is aiming for a future where a wearable headband can give people the experience of wakening in a lucid dream. This is by Becky Ferrar at Vice.com. Interesting. Anybody who's followed me, watched the show, knows about the Anomaly Archives, knows that one of the areas of our interest is consciousness, especially altered states of consciousness. And the lucid dream state, for those who've never experienced it, you probably have and didn't realize it, but the idea of waking in your dream and realizing that you are in a VR simulator, the dream world, and you can execute a little bit of control. It's an amazing experience. It's an amazing opportunity, and this startup is trying to create some new technology to help induce and maintain, stabilize, and direct emotional content. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. You can go actually to their website over at propheticai.co. I guess that's, yeah, propheticai.co. And their device is called the Halo, a non-invasive neural device to stabilize and induce dreaming. And there's a lot of interesting links you can explore from the article as well as their website, including PDFs that go into more detail about all the experiments and what they're trying to do. It's quite fascinating. Over at the Vice.com article, the list of benefits of lucid dreaming is long, noted Barry in the same call. There's everything from helping with PTSD, reducing anxiety, and improving mood, confidence, motor skills, and creativity. The benefits are really outstanding. Prophetic does not make any medical claims about its forthcoming products. Halo is tentatively slated for a 2025 release, though Wahlberg and Barry both expressed optimism about broader scientific research that suggests lucid dreams can reduce PTSD-related nightmares. There's a link to an article there, and promote mindfulness, another link, and open new windows into the mysterious nature of consciousness, another link. What caught my attention about this is they're using, well, they're doing some really good research here with, I guess it's private-public partnerships. Prophetic has partnered with the Donders Institute, a research center at Radboud University in the Netherlands that is focused on neuroscience and cognition, to generate the largest data set of electroencephalogram, EEG, and functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, observations of lucid dreamers, according to the company. That is pretty cool. So what really caught me, though, is the use of transcranial electrical stimulation or transcranial magnetic stimulation. So they're talking about like direct, so the non-invasive aspect is, no, sorry, I was sharing the wrong page still. The non-invasive aspect of this uses a headband that has magnets to to focus into certain parts of the brain. So they're looking to be able to adjust mood after doing all these studies, as well as not just induce the lucid dreams themselves, but lots to this article. Highly recommend it. So one more quote here. Depending on the device specifics and steering range of its ultrasound transducers, it is further conceivable that the emotional tone of the dream might also be modulated. For example, reducing negative emotions, which may be possible via targeting the amygdala located deep within the brain, he continued. Sleep studies for this specific target are still underway. Modulating specific content of dreams with technology might be possible in the future with ultrasound as well, but would need quite a few more hardware iterations to achieve the high resolution and reliability required for this task. Yeah, scary stuff, but also fascinating. I'm excited and interested in anything like this, though I don't know if I would feel comfortable letting that kind of electrical activity. I mean, it's one thing like with the Michael Persinger's magnet helmet, the God helmet. That I've never experienced that either, but I'd probably be hesitant to. Anyway, fun stuff to check out there, including this infogram from Donders Institute about their work there. So what about UFOs, you say? Well, we mentioned that Sean Kirkpatrick is leaving Aero, the government's new UAP office. He's retiring. And there's a very interesting article over at Politico.com. Are aliens real? We asked the Pentagon's outgoing UFO chief. They sit down in an interview with Sean Kirkpatrick. And, he basically says the right things in so much as he's like, we cannot rule out that there are other non-human intelligences in the universe. But he still thinks it's highly unlikely that they've been here and that they've crashed. So, and that he's not seen any of the evidence that's being alleged, though I think there's the claim that he's talked to some of the same people that Grush has talked to that make these claims. But there's also some interesting bits in here about the paper he wrote with Avi Loeb, and him describing it as being leaked. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, so the interviewer says, is that why you wrote that paper with Harvard professor Avi Loeb about the theory that UAPs are probes from an alien mothership? Kirkpatrick responds, that was the start of that work where we were looking at it. If you want to believe these hypotheses, what are the signatures that you would expect to see from that? Because if I don't see any of those signatures with any of the data that we see, then that's not a valid hypothesis. That's how science works, right? You have to have a hypothesis. You have to have measurables with that hypothesis, and then your data has to meet it. And you have to lay that out in a peer-reviewed journal so that you have something to pin against it. Seligman counters with, that paper, though, with your name attached, made it look like you were backing the theory. Is this something that you regret? Kirkpatrick says. That paper was in draft when it was leaked. We hadn't actually finished that paper and needed a lot of editing before it went out. Seligman. It wasn't leaked. Avi Loeb posted it online. Kirkpatrick. Well, yeah, he posted it without permission. Seligman. Do you regret your involvement in that? No, says Kirkpatrick, because it's the same principle. We are standing up for the facts. We are standing up for the scientific method, and this is how you go about doing it. You either do it or you don't. Anyway, there's more to that interview there over at Politico.com. One last bit on UFOs. Sorry, phone is vibrating. And also on DreamWork. Just real quick. I've started reading finally. Let's see if I can display it. Yes, Precognition. Yes, Precognitive Dreamwork and the Long Self, Interpreting Messages from Your Future by Eric Wargo, the author of Time Loops. I'm not sure it's gonna show it. There we go. And on UFOs, last week we mentioned Diana Pasulka's new book and got my copy and have dived in. It's going to be a fun, quick read. I just need to set aside the time for it. And that book here is, hello, can you? No. Anyway, it's Encounters, Experiences with Non-Human Intelligences, Explorations with UFOs, Dreams, Angels, AI, and Other Dimensions. And as I mentioned, you can listen to an interview that she did earlier this year with friend Greg Bishop of Radio Misterioso. And yeah, I'm very interested in what's talked about in this book. Good stuff. All right, before we close out, there's this one last kind of a little bit of dark. The Lancet, yes, The Lancet, the Lancet.com, the famous science medical journal. Preventing healers from becoming killers. For the first time, a Lancet commission is dedicated to the history of medicine, Nazi medicine. The report, The Lancet Commission on Medicine, Nazism, and the Holocaust, Historical Evidence, Implications for Today, Teaching for Tomorrow, launched on November 9th, is the most up-to-date scholarly evidence on the history of Nazi medicine and its central role in the so-called final solution, the German government's plan to annihilate European Jewry. 6 million Jews were murdered, along with 250,000 to 500,000 Roma and Sinti people, gay men, political prisoners, and others. The commissioners consider the report necessary due to, quote, the decades-long post-war refusal of the medical community to engage with its history in Germany and worldwide, and the long-standing myths about the relations between the Nazi regime and medicine. Have not had the chance to dive into this. Obviously not a light reading, but definitely important to keep in mind. All right, so yes, folks can find archives of this vodcast and the podcast. You can watch it, you can listen to it, you can subscribe. You can find all our past video links and so forth over at anomalyarchives.org, links to our YouTube channel, links to other material, as well as, what was the thing I was going to mention? So we're going to be closing the merch store in the next 30 days or less than 30 days. So if you want to support the Anomaly Archives, you can go to our merch store that's linked through anomalyarchives.org and buy great stuff like posters, t-shirts, hoodies, not coasters, coffee mugs, tumblers, mouse pads, all that good stuff. So thank you for joining us. This has been the Anomaly-NOW live weekly roundup show, and we'll see you again soon. Good night.